Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am sorry that I do not have so much energy to do all that exciting shit, but this month and a half has been absolute bullshit. I made a decision on April 8th that would change my entire month. This was that decision. I don't know if you can see this. See that? You see how that... By the way, this is a piston. You know, in your combustion engine, you've got this thing that goes clack, 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 clack. Well, it's not supposed to go clack, clack, clack. That's what this was doing. It's supposed to, you compress, all that kind of... Anyways, the point is this. This is what I've been doing for... Actually, this only took me a week. About a week to do. Maybe a week and a half, because I had to wait on parts for like 4 days, which really pissed me off. I don't like waiting. I don't like waiting for parts and stuff while I have brand new things completely apart. If I've tread that ground before, it doesn't bother me. But if I've never tread that ground, having parts all over the shop for a week while parts come in, while I wait for parts to come in, and there's just like piles of bolts everywhere, it kind of makes me nervous. But anyways. You can see here, this is something was banging around on the inside of my motor, and you can see the top here where the intake valve had made out with my piston. So as you would imagine, just like a pissed off, okay, what the heck, camera? Oh God. So as you'd imagine, just like a pissed off parent on a prom night, this shit had to come out immediately and get dealt with. Because that's a no-go. So, where were we? So that's what my month and a half has been. So we're going to get to something right now. Today's video, we're going to look at some crazy. Jesus said this would happen right before the end, and it's starting. So once again, guys, it hasn't been that long, and we've already got another rapture scare. And it was funny because I was talking to my dad the other day, and he's just like, it's starting. It's the beginning. I'm like... You guys have been saying that for fucking decades. Whatever. We're not going to get too much into it. We're not going to make too much fun of them because, they are actually going... At this point, I really do think that it's just a mental health thing. I don't know, but it's actually kind of sad, like how constantly in a state of fear religion keeps you. Because what's going to happen is... In 10 years, all of this is going to go away. Hopefully, it didn't take that fucking long with the gas prices. But in 10 years, inevitably, we're going to be back on our feet. And they're going to say, he's coming back again. Oh, it is what it is. But anyways, here we are. Today, Israel, Turkey, Persia, and Austria. I don't know what that says. Astria. So we're going to get into this. Let's get into it. See how...
Jesus said this would happen.
See what kind of crap these people are consuming at this point in their lives. Maybe that's better? No, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. We'll see. Let's just get into it.
Happen right before the end. It's starting.
It's starting.
A clear warning from Jesus that we can see today, the 8th of February, 2026. Diplomats in Geneva sitting across from Iranian negotiators talking about principles and frameworks and the path to a deal. Missiles being fired into the Strait of Hormuz on the same day. Aircraft carriers cutting through the Persian Gulf. The USS...
Okay, so look, let's get something out of the way. We're living in some crazy fucking times because old-ass people are trying to do some imperial bullshit. Let's just get that out of the way. And please don't be offended by my statement of old-ass people, but let's just be real, China's president, Russia's president, Trump, these are all very old men trying to leave a legacy for themselves. If let's just be frank. Just be frank about it. I mean, it's kind of surprising whenever Greenland... What did y'all see that meme that Greenland renamed their island what was it? I think they renamed Greenland. I saw something like that, and I'm sure it was okay. This camera thing is driving me crazy. Let me just change this real quick. That's better. That makes me feel better. Greenland. I saw something where it's like Denmark renamed Greenland to Epstein's Island so that Trump would drop the subject. It's just. It's absolutely insane. But with that being said, it's pretty frustrating to see how the stupidity of a single person can screw up global relationships and global economy, and the amount of time that he did. It's pretty insane. What's more insane to me is, the conservative Christian perspective on all of this. I'm not going to get too much into politics here, but at this point, this is one thing that I've always hated about, this guy taking office, is that it's like every single day it's some political BS headline in the news, and it's like, I don't really like getting into politics that much in general. You always have the option to focus on things that separate people, or the option to focus on things that unite people, and more people often like to focus on the things that separate us. So what we get is a bunch of fighting and a bunch of wars and a bunch of bombs being lobbed all over the place, because the reality is that Christianity and Islam are referring to the same damn people, but they're still fighting thousands of years later, quoting Moses lobbing bombs at each other. Okay. Both claiming to worship the God of Abraham. Okay there, bud. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. So I want to set the stage for the energy that we're going to watch this with. We're going to watch this with an energy of relaxedness, with an energy of this is just all crazy propaganda that they're trying to sell you on. I understand that there is a stupid amount of fear going through the population right now. And I always maintain the vibe. It ain't that deep. even if it is that deep, it just isn't that deep. Chillax, bro. So we're gonna get into this. Let's not. No. Where is it? Where'd I put it? Hello. There it is.
Abraham Lincoln already positioned in the Arabian Sea. The USS Gerald R. Ford steaming toward the region. Over 120 additional aircraft surged into the Middle East in a matter of days. F-22s, F-35s, refueling tankers, surveillance drones, bombers. The largest American military buildup in the region since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. And the President of the United States standing behind a podium.
Guys, buckle in, because this is a 30-minute video, so it means that my video is probably going to be like 45 to an hour.
Saying he would likely decide on military action within the next 10 to 15 days, if no deal is reached. His words, bad things will happen. Israel on high alert. Northern Front readiness activated. Multi-front scenario planning underway. Iranian nuclear sites being fortified with concrete shields and buried tunnels. Satellite imagery confirming reconstruction at Parchin, Isfahan, and Natanz. And buried beneath all of those headlines, beneath the carriers and the missiles and the deadlines, a single verse from the mouth of Jesus Christ that describes exactly what the world is experiencing right now. Not just wars, but rumors of wars. And Jesus said we would hear about this. He said it would happen.
Oh my God, not this bullshit again. Sorry, I'm sorry. I know that was loud. I know that was so loud. Wars and rumors of wars. Since I was a child, since I was a fucking baby, since fucking, Bush was president and we were in the Gulf War. Wars and rumors of wars have been fucking uttered since the fucking dawn of time. Human beings have been fighting since the dawn of time. So wars and rumors of wars is always gonna fucking happen. It's like saying Jesus is gonna come back when everybody starts to breathe air. No shit. I'm sorry. It's just that was so triggering to me. So, as a ex-Christian, that whole Jesus is coming back because there are wars and rumors of wars. Oh, fuck off! I'm sorry. That is so mean. I don't mean to be that mean. Oh.
He described the pattern with such precision that when you hold his words up next to February 2026, the overlap is not subtle. It is not a stretch. It is exact. But here is what most people miss. And this is going to become the most important insight in this entire video. Jesus did not just predict these events. He told us what they mean. He told us where they sit on the prophetic timeline. And he told us exactly how to respond when we see them. Open your Bible to Matthew chapter 24. This is the Olivet Discourse, the longest recorded prophecy Jesus ever gave. He was sitting on the Mount of Olives, looking out over Jerusalem, and his disciples came to him privately and asked the question that has echoed through every generation of believers since. Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And Jesus answered them, directly, specifically, without ambiguity. Matthew 24, 6-7. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place. The end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Now I need you to notice three things about what Jesus said here.
I need you to notice three things, sir. Let's think about this. Since Jesus' time, let's take a moment to think about all the kingdoms that have ever gone to war with each other. Okay, well, first you had, obviously, you had the Roman Empire, all that kind of stuff. Then you had the whole Viking thing. That was after Jesus. And then you had the whole, the British colonial thing. Then you had World War II. So this is exactly my point. It's like, at every step of the way, humans are going to fight. That's just what it comes down to, right? In this point in time, humans are going to fight because we're constantly looking for division. We're constantly looking for what separates, you know. A perfect example. Okay, maybe it's not a perfect example. I'm half Hispanic, half white. And so my mom's from Honduras. My dad's white. I want to say they are from Sweden, maybe. Anderson. It depends. I want to say it's like either Sweden or Finland or something like that. All of my white family is really, really tall. I'm the shortest one out of all of them. But yeah, it's pretty sad. That's not pretty sad. I was thinking about this whole video situation is pretty sad. What I'm saying though is that, you know, and it's not just me, it's me and every other person who's a mixed breed, right? Half-breeds, half-bred. Anytime you go hang out with family, they're not going to see you as a part of them. They'll see you as separate. Because that's the first thing that they notice, is that you're not one of us, right? So whenever I would go to hang out with my Hispanic family, they would immediately recognize us as being white, and we weren't Hispanic. And whenever we would go hang out with our white family, we weren't white. We were the Hispanics. So there's constantly that you're different, thus you're a different thing from me. Doesn't matter that I share both DNA, genetic material. I have the same fucking genetic material. Okay, not exactly precisely because obviously we're phenotypically different. But, you know, I have the same, 99.9 whatever percent DNA match to my siblings on my Hispanic side of the family, but I've always been referred to as the white person. And whenever I go and hang out with the white side of my family, I was always referred to as the Mexican or the Hispanic or whatever slur they wanted to use for me at the time. So it's just a part of being, half. Anybody who's half of anything immediately knows what I'm talking about. You're a part of both races, but at the same time, you're not a part of either. You're just your own independent thing. And I think that's where a lot of my independence stemmed from whenever I was a kid, is because, I've never had a group to belong to. And so because of that, you learn how to be on your own at a very, very early age. And then on top of that, you add that to the family that I grew up in and, kind of being one of the more hated ones in the family. And so we don't need to get into all that. But yeah, You can focus on what divides. And when you focus on what divides, then there's always going to be a right and a wrong and a reason to go kill and a reason to go bomb somebody and a reason to go take people's shit away, right? I remember I was asking my dad a long time ago whether he thought it was right. You know, this is where we are now, so let's just accept that and move forward from it. But I asked him if he thought that it was right that the Protestants came over and basically decimated the Indian population here and took over their land and the Trail of Tears and all the, you know, horrible things that happened versus trying to come up with some sort of, you know, peaceable establishment. And his response to that was no, because they were, you know, they were doing horrible things. They were scalping people. They were doing this. They were doing that, you know, and he would just focus on all the things that they were doing that, according to Christianity, was a bad thing. And I'm just like, do you remember the Crusades, bud? Like, so yeah, it's just, you should always hold up a mirror to yourself before you attack somebody. That's a super important thing. So yeah. Let's see, back to this. Sorry. Oh, Jesus. There it is.
Because each one of them is going to become critical as we move through this video. And the third one is the one that almost everyone gets wrong. First, he said, you will hear reports, headlines, alerts, the constant, unrelenting sound of conflict filling the atmosphere. Jesus was describing an information environment saturated with the noise of war. And he said it 2,000 years before the 24-hour news cycle, before satellite coverage.
So, yeah, that's exactly like World War II, is it not? I mean, that could have been World War II. Jesus should have come back during World War II. Jesus should have come back. There's plenty of periods of time in history where, you know, all of that stupid sentence is the one thing that's like constantly holding a bunch of people down. You know, it's so disappointing and disheartening to see, because at the end of the day, it does real damage to people. You know, it does real damage to people's psyche. And this is why, you know, when I tell Christians it is impossible to have true, genuine peace when you are inside of Christianity, bullshit. Jesus gives me peace. The Holy Spirit gives me peace. It's what do you mean? I have complete and total peace inside. And it's like, okay, well, if you've never stepped outside of religion, then it makes sense that that's how you feel. You know, it's like a person who's never been in a healthy relationship, you know, arguing that the relationship that they're in is perfectly healthy. And you don't know what healthy is. You've never experienced healthy. And if you did experience healthy, it would be so different that you wouldn't feel comfortable. And so you'd immediately leave it and go find something that wasn't healthy. On the case of relationships, I need to throw a rant out there just a little bit. Okay, look, if you're, okay, let me set the stage for the reason why this rant is about to come out. So I love my cousin to death. He's my absolute ride or die. We've been riding and dying together since we were like 2 years old. There's not a goddamn thing on this planet, in this universe, that's going to separate the two of us. I mean, we're just as close as two covalently bonded atoms. That is the most geeky shit. Oh my god. Sorry. I did not mean to say that. That was the most geeky fucking shit I've ever said. But the point is, he's my absolute ride or die. You guys tell me what y'all think down in the comments. Should he just fucking, like, you know. But, so he's got this girl. I'm going to bring y'all into a little bit of tea. Why not? He's got this girl that he's absolutely into. He's all crazy about this girl. They're super good friends. They're always hanging out with each other. You know, I always tell him, I'm like, why don't you just date the girl? Why don't you just date the girl? No, it's just not like that. We're just friends. We're just friends. All this kind of bullshit, right? And so one day I said, okay, well, so let me ask you this. And of course, this was during one of the times whenever I'm feeling nice and sparkly because I've got 3 Long Island teas down. I remember asking him, I was like, okay, well, let me ask you this. Would you be okay seeing her live a life with somebody else? And his response to that was, absolutely not. I do not want to see her with anybody else. I'm like, okay, if she does go with somebody else, are you okay with that person saying that there should be restrictions in the amount of times that you see this person? His response, absolutely not. No, I would not be okay with that. And I'm like, so then what the fuck are you waiting for? Because people don't wait around forever. Like, you know, and so I told him, I was like, okay, so then do something, you know, tell her. And he's just like, well, I don't know. I'm just not ready at my life. And I'm like, well, who gives a shit about that? You know, you're never going to be ready in your life. Life is never organized. Okay, this entire universe is in a constant state of falling apart. If you don't believe that, go study biochemistry. I am dying right now, and the only reason why I'm still alive is because something had to die for me to continue to live, to continue to die. I'm constantly dying. Everything is constantly falling apart. Oxidation is constantly taking place. You know, DNA damage is constantly taking place. Cell death is constantly accelerating. Everything is constantly in a state of falling apart. Even all the chemical reactions inside of your body. You want to know how you build anything in your body? You have to create this small localized explosion of things breaking apart. We call that ATP. When you break off an ATP, phosphorylate an ATP molecule, that produces so much local energy that explosion, that breaking apart, puts off enough energy that you can use that energy to put some molecules back together. That's how your body builds things, right? They're constantly breaking things apart. All of that to say this. Life is never going to be just right. The conditions in life are never going to be just right. So I told this guy, I was like, look, set yourself a date. Put yourself a date of when you are going to take action on this thing. And he's, I don't know, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. I don't have this. I don't have that. You know, my house is still this and that. And I don't have these cars, all this kind of stuff. Like, fuck all of that, dude. Because I'm about to be 30, guys. Oh, God. I turned 30 in like 1 month. Is it May? In the middle of the May? Month and a half? No, not like a month and 2 weeks. Don't even get me started. I don't celebrate my birthdays. I probably won't celebrate it this year because of how disappointing this last year's been. So here's the thing. So I told him, I was like, look, just take action on this chick. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, then make peace with this person being with somebody else. He's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I'm like, well, guess what, buddy? If you don't take action, you're going to have to do that. Doesn't matter if you want to do it or not, right? It's kind of like with vehicles and maintenance. If you don't want to get your oil change and you just keep putting it off, you keep putting it off, keep putting it off, there will be a day that you have to do it, that you have to replace the engine, right? It could have all been avoided if you would have taken these small steps and these small actions in the time. But if you keep kicking the ball down the road, you will get to a point to where there is no more road, and you just have to accept the fact of the reality that there is no more road for you to kick the ball down. And you have to swallow that, accept it, and try to move on with your life, right? And he was all distraught and all kind of disappointed by that, but it's kind of what do you expect is going to happen? You know, a person's not going to put their life on hold forever, right? And so I told him, I was like, look, set a date. This is completely off the rails, but fuck it, I want to rant. I love him too much to see him, be sad. And he loves this girl, and I know he loves this girl, which is why I'm pissed. Fucking do something. So, I told him, I was like, look, she's not going to wait. She's already got plans to move to another city, and that day is coming. That day is coming. So guess what happens when she moves to another city? She's going to meet another person. She's going to start a life with another person. And you're going to be sitting there staring at the life that you could have had through social media, you know? Do you want that? And he just got like all kind of like tied up and, you know, then fucking take action, right? Then do something. So I told him, I was like, look, set a date. He was like, all right, I'm going to see her next Saturday. I'm like, great. Next Saturday. I don't know why the fuck you're waiting that long. You can fucking text her right now. You can fucking call her right now. You know, oh, it's just weird because we've been friends so long. Throw all the BS out of the most expensive thing, in my opinion, that you can invest in a person is emotion. It's not money. It's not time. It's emotion, right? You're going to ever get your time back? No, you're not going to get your time back. But, you know, if you were doing things that you genuinely enjoyed, then that's not wasted time, right? If you've always wanted to go to France and you went to France with your ex-girlfriend, that's not wasted time. You went to France. That was great, right? You blow $10,000 on a girl, cool. You'll get $10,000 back. Okay, I don't know that many people blowing that much money on. That's crazy. Those are crazy numbers. You may see me blowing a cool 20. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know, the most expensive thing that you're going to invest is emotion. And why are you going to put so much of your investment into something that you don't know if it's going to return or not? Because you could just ask a question and find out immediately if it's going to return, right? So I told him, I was like, look, you don't know if this is going to work out, right? You're living in your head. You're creating this fairy tale fantasy in your head. You don't know if it's going to work out or not. Okay, so you can continue to build up this fantasy in your mind, or and have all the emotional investment, have all the fairy tale investment to set yourself up to be crushed at a later date when you see that girl with another guy, right? Or you can ask a simple question and get your closure, right? Hey, I like you. Do you see anything here? Yes or no, right? You don't need to be that direct with it, but simple question. You make it out of the blue. Does not matter, right? And if they say no, you have your answer. You move on, right? Because now you know that you don't need to invest any emotion. Is it going to hurt? Of course it's going to hurt, right? But humans are strong creatures. As much as shit hurts, we get through shit, right? Ask me. My life has been nothing but a bucket of heartbreak stacked on top of heartbreak. But you move on from stuff. You get over shit, right? It may take a lot of time, but you get over shit and you find the next person, and maybe the next person isn't exactly like, you know, the one that you were hoping, but don't expect the person to be the exact same. You know, always be willing to accept the person for who they are and see the beauty in that specific person, right? And see the benefits of that specific person over another person. So I tell this guy, set a date. I'm going to let y'all in on my tea. Set a date. He says, okay, I'm going to set a date. And Saturday, we're going to go to the movies. I'm like, okay. And so I give him a little bit of a ready thing. You know, I'm like, all right, how are you going to tell her? And he goes, I'm just going to say, you know, you and I, we're always out all the time. We're always hanging out all the time, you know. And I'm just like, oh, fucking stop that shit. That shit's not going to work. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're not about to have a specific moment and then fucking blow it with hey, we're always hanging out. You're like, hell no, right? So I gave him some romantic gestures, some deep things, and for some reason this guy was like, let me get a notepad. I was like, what? You need a notepad? And he literally wrote down what I told him to say on a notepad. It was so funny. But like, here I am watching how much he cares, right? I mean, this guy obviously cares. He's not taking action. So, what ends up happening he gets that day. And I told him, I'm like, look, you're never going to find the right moment. There will never be a right moment. Throw that shit out of your mind. Fucking shot put or discus that shit out of your mind, because there will never, ever, 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 ever be a right moment to take action on something. Never. It's always going to be awkward and inconvenient and sloppy and messy and probably come with a bunch of drama and may even open up a can of worms. Yeah, that's how shit is sometimes. Accept that and do it anyway, you know? So I tell him, I'm like, look, you know, where are you going? So we come up with a game plan. He's taking her to the movies. All right, you're going to take this chick to the movies. So what you're going to do, you're going to have your fun, you're going to have good conversation, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the night, when there's the option between hanging out more time and dropping her off at her house, right? You know, you're just finished at the movies and now you're walking back from the parking lot or something like that. That's the perfect moment, because if she says no, she doesn't feel the same way about you. You're in the parking lot, you're already headed to your car, you two are already going home, big deal, right? If she says yes, then you can opt to go to dinner or something like that, or spend more time with each other, whatever. And so I said, do that. Okay. So we go over here. Guys, I love my cousin too much to let him fuck this up. Tomorrow, I'm going to call her. No, I'm just kidding. But no. So the day comes, the day goes. I call him the next day. Of course I am. Knock, knock, knock. Danielle, what's up, dog? Did you make your move? The answer was no, because the moment never came. I got so upset. It's like, Danny, the moment is never going to come. I don't know what to tell you, man. Moments don't show up for people. You got to make that shit happen, you know? And he was just like, it's just the conversation was never there. You know, the right moment was never there, you know, and then I was going to text her later, but then it was just, you know, it would have been out of the blue. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? You know? So I told him, I you know, kind of pep talked him, you know, and told him, like, look, okay, so accept that she's going to be with somebody else. No, I can't do that. Then fucking do something. Because you know, life is ticking away, and eventually she's going to move off to that other city, and she's going to find another person, and you are going to be an afterthought. You are just going to be in the past. And is she going to care about you? Of course she's going to care about you. Of course she's going to still have feelings for you. But guess what? You never showed up. You never took the action. And he was all like, oh, man, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't stand that. No, I need to do something. I need to do something. And I'm like, then text her right now. Text her out of the blue and say, look, I need to tell you something that I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. And no, I can't do that. I'm like, all right, Dan, I give up with you, dude. So that's my rant. I've been wanting to share that for the longest fucking time, because I love my cousin. I really love my cousin. And the guy is, you know, I've not seen him in a serious relationship ever. And I do want him to, you know, find what he wants in life. And yeah, anyways, that's going to be enough of that. I've just been wanting to fucking share that because I've been so stressed about it, guys. Tell me down in the comments what you think. Am I in the right? Should I just leave my cousin alone and let him miss this opportunity and continue to invest emotion, continue to invest all of these feelings and things like that just to find out that maybe she doesn't like him after all in the end? Let me know. I feel like I'm not being that dramatic. But anyways, sorry, that was like the longest off-screen rant. And I feel like you guys can tell that I wanted to get some crap off my chest for that.
For social media,
whatever.
Deliver a missile strike to your phone.
I don't even remember what we were talking about, but
phone in real time. Second, he did not say panic. He did not say calculate dates. He said, see that you are not alarmed. That is an instruction, a command. He was telling his followers and telling us that the correct response to what we see in the headlines is not fear. It is faith. Third, and this is the one most people miss, he said, this must take place. but the end is not yet. Must take place. Not might. Not could. Must. These events are required. They are part of the prophetic sequence. They are not random. They are not accidental. And they are not the end. But he did say they would intensify. And the word he used to describe that intensification, the specific Greek word recorded in Matthew 24:8, is going to completely reframe how you understand everything that is happening in February 2026. That word is coming. And when you hear what it means, you are going to see the headlines in a way you never have before. But first, I need to show you what rumors of wars actually looks like in the real world. Because what is happening right now is the most precise modern illustration of that phrase.
Like every damn century that humans have ever been alive, like what does rumors of wars look like, guys? It looks like a day in the life of an American, in a country who needs oil. Like, let's be real. What the fuck happened in Venezuela? Like I get it. The people of those countries, I'm sure they're extremely happy that, the United States did what they did. But at the same time, the United States can't even take care of itself. Let's just be real about that. The United States is struggling to take care of itself. We're in when you're on an airplane and the airplane's going down and that little oxygen mask, comes from the ceiling, they don't say, take care of everybody else and let yourself. No, you take care of yourself first, right? It's kind of the same thing. When you're loving, you love yourself first. When you're doing whatever, you always do it for yourself first to make sure that you're whole, that you feel good, because then you can show up in a way that everybody needs you to show up with, right? When you have a family, when you're a dad, whatever, it's extremely important that you take care of yourself first. I know that sounds crazy. Now, there are certain times where you just have to grind and you just have to chomp at the bit and you have to get through crappy months. I just got through a crappy month myself where it was 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. every fucking day. And today was the very first day that I had 6 hours, after your regular sleeping time. That I had like 6 hours to just sit and be still and be quiet and not have anything to do. I get it. Those days happen. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be showing up in a way that makes nobody want to be around you. Let's just be real about that. Anyways, let's get back to the video because that's not what we're talking about.
Has ever existed. Let me lay out what the world looked like in the third week of February 2026. The United States gave Iran what amounted to a 10 to 15-day ultimatum. President Trump stated publicly that he would likely decide on military action if no nuclear deal was reached. His exact framing, bad things will happen, was deliberately vague and deliberately threatening. He urged Iran to be very wise in agreeing to terms. White House spokespeople emphasized a preference for diplomacy, but confirmed readiness for...
We're going to try to skip through all of this political fear-mongering bullshit. We'll leave it at 1.5.
Enormous. Iran insisted talks focus only on its nuclear program and refused to discuss ballistic missiles or proxy support. Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iraqi militias.
It's really hurting my eyes.
On enrichment, missiles, and regional destabilization. U.S. officials privately expressed pessimism about a quick resolution. And Iran was not sitting still. Satellite imagery confirmed that Tehran had fortified nuclear sites damaged during the 2025 12-day Israel stop. And the word he used to describe that pattern is one of the most important words in all of end times prophecy. Now here is what makes this different from any other tense moment in modern history. And this connects directly to the specific word Jesus used in the very next verse. Because Jesus did not just say there would be rumors of wars. He said those rumors would follow a specific pattern, a pattern of escalation, a pattern that builds and builds and does not stop. And the word he used to describe that pattern is one of the most important words in all of end times prophecy. All these are the beginning of birth pains. There it is. The word I told you was coming. The word that changes everything about how you understand February 2026. The headlines, the carriers, the missiles, and the entire trajectory of what is happening in the world right now. In the original Greek, the word translated as birth pains is Odin. And I need you to understand what this word is and what it is not. Because getting this wrong has caused more confusion about end times prophecy than almost any other misunderstanding in the church. Odin is not a metaphor for sadness. It is not a metaphor for difficulty. It is not a vague general reference to hard times or a tough season. It is a precise term for the contractions a woman experiences before she delivers a child. The physical, involuntary, escalating spasms that signal the body is moving toward birth. That is what Odin means.
That's quite the imagery right there to stop on.
That is the word Jesus chose, and he chose it deliberately. He could have said, the beginning of troubles.
Okay, there's a lot to look at. So, here's the thing. So we're looking at Matthew. What did he say? Matthew 24. Looking at birth pains. Where was it? Birth pains. That's right. So it says, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and these are the beginning of birth pains. I used to live in Alaska. There are fucking earthquakes all the goddamn time. We live on a planet that is constantly moving. The tectonic plates will always be shifting. Thus, there will always be earthquakes. Famines, this is also something that tends to come and go. You know? Okay. Let's see here. Then you will be handed over to the persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. And at the time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as testimony to all nations. And then the end will come. So this is what keeps Christians in a constant state of fear, in a constant state of scared, of uptight, of, refusing to divorce their husband that's been beating them for the last 10 years. This is exactly my point. It's going to be, and it's, sometimes I struggle with these videos because it really is like same shit, different day. It really is like that. So the whole thing about Jesus coming back, I've heard that almost every single year since I was a child, right? Certainly, maybe not every single month, but I've definitely heard it every single year. Jesus is going to come back this year. Jesus is going to come back this year. I decided I was going to ask my dad. I was like, let me have a question. I told him, I was like, Dad, I got a question for you. Let me ask you something. How many years have you heard this idea and have been put in this kind of state of Jesus is about to come back? He is literally, his return is imminent. You need to get your shit together because he's going to be here next week. Like, how long? And he told me, since I was a kid, right? This dude is 84 years old. Okay. And as you can imagine, my great-grandparents were also missionaries. Same shit. My great-great-grandparents, also missionaries, most likely same shit. So this is kind of the whole point. It's constantly putting you in a state of fear. It's constantly putting you in a state that you have to absolutely, and this is how Christianity controls people. Look at the White House. I was just watching this video about how the Christians were feeling so, triumphant because they were waging spiritual warfare in the White House. They were praying and having sermons and all sorts of shit in the White House. And God bless Trump. He posted a sacrilegious photo of like him as Jesus. Like, this is not a Christian dude. Whenever he took his second oath in office, he didn't put his hand on the Bible. This is not a Christian dude. But it shows you how easy It is to manipulate a population when you identify with them, right? He's saying, oh yeah, we're doing this because, personally, I think the whole BS in Iran is because we were getting in a little bit too deep with the Epstein files. That's what I think. I think we were going in too deep, and he was just like, quick, blow some shit up, because now everybody's focused on the price of gas, and the Epstein files is like an afterthought, right? And he's just using this, and you guys hear it from like the War Department, how God has chosen Trump to be the one. Trump's the chosen one. The guy has the same level of ego as Paul in the Bible, but he is very much not even a decent Christian, right? I mean, if you look at his past, he had no interest in being a Christian until he became president, because he was doing a lot of very unchristian things to women and children that, to be frank, would immediately get him sent to hell if one existed. And so it is quite, interesting to see how people, it's whatever. But, this constant fear, this is the reason why I tell people you can't relax. You can't have a true state of peace, a true state of, I'm completely surrendered. I'm at peace. I'm not trying to control, the outcome of life. I'm not trying to control the outcome of all this kind of stuff. I'm simply focusing on the things that have been dealt to me, right? When you're in that state, it is so much easier to be at peace than it is of like, oh, on top of all this crazy crap, we have to maintain our perfect Christian, values and stuff. And it's just like, oh my God. So back to this.
The Greek language had words for that. He could have said the beginning of suffering. There were words for that too. He could have said the beginning of sorrows, which is actually how some older translations render this verse. But even that English word fails to capture what Odin communicates, because sorrows can come and go. Sorrows can lift. Sorrows can be random, disconnected, unpredictable. Birth pains cannot. Jesus chose Odin because birth pains have a very specific set of characteristics. Characteristics that his listeners would have immediately understood. Characteristics that map onto the prophetic timeline with terrifying precision. And when you see what those characteristics are, you are going to understand why this is not just a metaphor. It is a diagnostic framework. It is Jesus giving us a way to measure where we are on the prophetic timeline by observing the pattern of events around us. Let me walk you through the 4 characteristics of birth pains, because each one...
So when I was a kid, I would watch this video and honestly kind of be in a state of internal panic and anxiety. This is my point, right? I would watch this video, I would get really, really scared. I would get really kind of anxious inside, and I would go to church and try to be the best Christian that I could be and all that kind of stuff. And I would watch a video like this, and I would get scared again, and I would get super anxious and all that kind of crap. And at a certain point, if you're a new Christian, all of this stuff is very new to you, and congratulations, now you have to experience this trauma. But if you grew up in this from day one like I did, by the time you hit 25, 27, you're just like, okay, 9/11, Osama bin Laden was the Antichrist, Obama was the Antichrist, Joe Biden was the Antichrist. It's choose your character, I mean, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid.
One of them connects directly to what is happening in the world right now. And the 4th one, the one most people never think about, is the one that should affect you the most deeply. Characteristic number 1, birth pains begin small. They do not start at full intensity. A woman in the earliest stages of labor might not even recognize what is happening. The first contractions are mild. They are far apart. They are easy to dismiss. Life continues around her as if nothing has changed. She can still walk. She can still talk. She can still carry on with her day. The contractions are there, but they are subtle enough that most people around her would never know. This is how the birth pains pass that way. They are supposed to be dismissible. That is part of the pattern. But dismissible does not mean insignificant. And that is the mistake most people make. Characteristic number 2, Birth pains increase in frequency. This is where the pattern begins to reveal itself. What was once every 30 minutes becomes every 20, then every 10, then every 5. Frequency increasing, intervals compressing, exactly as Jesus described. Characteristic number 3.
Once again, we can look at every damn war in history and see the same thing. It starts off as a rumor, then it increases, and the next thing you're all in all-out war, and then everybody's getting shipped off in boats to fight, and then money becomes extremely tight, and then typically what follows is some sort of recession or something like that. Obviously, the timeline on that throughout history is very off because I'm not a historian, but you don't have to be a historian to see that this happens all the damn time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that now is the time Jesus is coming back, It's just, I feel so bad for people, having to sit there and consistently stay in your state of fear. It must really suck.
Increase in severity. It is not just that the contractions come more often. Each one is stronger than the last. Each one is harder to bear. Each one demands more attention, more energy, more focus.
And I want to be clear about something. Let's look at this video, right? This video is very, very, very Christian. Everything in this video is fear, right? Everything is fear. It's fear, it's fear, it's fear, it's fear. It's designed to scare you, right? So, is this video aligned with the Christian Holy Spirit? No, right? Because God does not give you a spirit of fear, but of peace and of a sound mind. Absolutely butchered that. But you understand the point, because I'm sure you've heard it too. Really, God doesn't give you a spirit of fear. So then why is fear sold at every fucking meal that you serve? Damn near every single service, damn near every single, there's always it's like salt, and it's like, oh, my dish came out too salty, like, oh, my bad, sorry, we'll bring you another dish here, we'll give you a little bit of tiramisu that just has a touch of salt on top of it. How's that? It's a lot sweeter. It still has salt on it, but it's a lot sweeter. Like, okay, I know tiramisu doesn't typically have salt. I'm thinking like sea salt or some crap like that, right? But it's just like, oh my God, it's a bit ridiculous. I think it's just a bit ridiculous.
Plateau. They do not level off. They do not maintain a consistent intensity. They build, contraction after contraction, each one more powerful than the one before. Now look at the severity curve of what we are witnessing. Regional proxy conflicts have given way to direct state-on-state military strikes.
Completely natural. When you're going to war, shit starts small and escalates. So we're going to skip.
Back channels. Today, the frameworks are fraying. The treaties are collapsing. The back channels are clogged with distrust. And the number of nuclear-capable actors involved in simultaneous conflicts is greater than at any point in human history. The contractions are not just more frequent. They are more severe.
The love of Jesus is just coming through so strong in this video.
Here, exactly as the birth pains pattern predicts.
Oh, not the lady again.
Number 4, and this is the one that most people never think about.
If it's real.
Birth pains are irreversible. Once labor begins, it does not
stop. That looks kind of fake to me.
There is no pause button. There is no reversal.
Okay, that might be real. I was going to say, you typically don't look that, controlled. Normally it's a lot more.
A woman does not experience contractions for an hour and then go back to a pre-labor state as if nothing happened. The process has begun. The body has committed. And no matter how holding, then it does not reverse. The contractions do not stop. The escalation does not reset. There is no going back to a pre-contraction world. Think about that in the context of what we are living through. And after February 2026, whatever happens with the nuclear talks, whatever happens with the carriers, whatever happens with the missiles, the world will not return to the way it was before. Each contract.
Yeah, it does. It always does. Yeah, well. I mean, yeah, shit takes a different shape. But, what you typically get is, all these tensions increase, shit gets real, people start fighting, you go through war for a little bit, the population decides they're fucking sick and tired of the bullshit, and they end the war, and then there's a period of peace that happens. And then, a little bit of shit happens, conflict escalates, somebody throws some bombs, next thing you know, we go into war, a lot of people start dying, Population gets sick and tired of the bullshit, and then eventually it dies off and you have a period of peace. So yes, we will eventually go to a I'm not even going to say it, oh god, pre-contraction world. Oh, that's so gross. Ooh. Yeah, it's going to be fine. Yeah. Is some crap going to change? Sure. Because every time we go through one of these cycles, historically, crap changes, right? Politically, something's going to change. That's fine. To be quite frank, something should change. This dude needs to fucking leave office already. But yeah, I mean, shit's going to change. But it's going to go right back to a period of peace. And then they're going to go right back to saying Jesus his coming's no longer imminent, but it's coming. It's coming. It's like, oh my God.
Fraction leaves the world in a different place than where it started. A more tense place, a more fragile place, a more dangerous place. And the next contraction starts from that new baseline, not from the old one. That is the irreversibility of birth pains. And it is the characteristic that tells us the most about where we are. Now here is something else about birth pains that most prophecy teachers fail to mention. And it is going to add an entirely new dimension to everything I have just shown you. Because birth pains are not just about pain.
So out of this entire damn chapter in Matthew 24, we've focused on 2 sentences, which is what Christianity tends to do. They typically highlight 2 sentences and extrapolate it to mean the whole fucking world. The whole goddamn thing. It's like, oh my God, you guys stress me out.
They are about what is being delivered. A woman endures contractions not because suffering is the point. She endures them because something is coming. Something is being born. The pain is real, but it is purposeful. It is moving towards something glorious, the arrival of new life. And Jesus was not just warning us about pain. He was telling us that something is coming. The birth pains of Matthew...
Okay, I've had enough of the birth pains talk. Let's go over here.
See, not with this severity. Not with this irreversibility. Not with this many fault lines activating simultaneously. Not with this level of global awareness making every person on Earth a witness to the contractions in real time.
Oh,
and that brings us to something critical.
We're still on birth pains. God damn. I swear that was like an 8-minute jump in the video.
Important. Because there is something fundamentally different about the era we are living in. And when you zoom out from the US-Iran standoff and look at the full picture of what is happening across the globe simultaneously, you are going to see something that aligns with another phrase Jesus used in that same prophecy. A phrase that most people read too quickly and never fully absorb.
Let me guess. Birth pains.
Jesus said, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom." Most people hear that phrase and think of a single large-scale war. 2 nations colliding. An invasion. A decisive battle. But the original language suggests something broader, something more systemic. Scholars have noted that the phrase nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, in its original rabbinic context, described a pattern of widespread, multi-front, overlapping conflicts. Not one war.
Would you say like the Vikings? Would you say like maybe World War II? Would you say maybe like World War I? Would you say like maybe the British Imperial thing? Sounds like a pretty natural thing.
Many wars, simultaneously. And that is exactly what the world looks like right now.
Guys, let me know. Are y'all losing your patience with this video? Have y'all clicked off yet? Because this is repetitive AF.
Now, in February, radical threat. This is a positioned, armed, and operationally ready force sitting directly on Israel's northern border. Now move to the south. Gaza, even after the 2025 conflict.
I can already hear the Christians in my ear. John, you need to pay attention. This is shit that's happening. Jesus is about to come back. You're a fool. Okay. All right, do me a favor. Tell me that in 20 years. Okay. Just, I might be dead. I might actually be dead because I tend to do a lot of very dangerous things because I find them fun. But if I'm not around, still send me a letter to my mailbox and I'll have one of my family members pick it up and they'll like airmail me somehow,
Remains unstable. Ceasefire arrangements are fragile. Flare-ups continue. The infrastructure for renewed rocket attacks has not been fully dismantled.
Okay, guys, we're ending this video because this is just so fucking repetitive. That was the most repetitive fucking video I've seen in my life. Holy shit. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think about it. Once again, apologies for being gone for so long. It's been absolutely nothing but hell with this thing. So it started off with this, and that job ended up costing me around $1,200 to do. Immediately after that, fuel pump went out, so I had to put in a new fuel pump. And then while I was cranking it, I accidentally burned out my starter, so then I had to put in a new starter. And once I finally got it going down the road consistently, that's whenever I found out that the suspension, the front end suspension, was absolutely ripped to shreds, and so I had to rebuild the front end suspension. It's just been quite a lot. And then I have a couple of vehicles that I'm trying to sell, that I'm trying to get rid of, and so there's just a lot of kind of crazy going on. And something exciting for me that I'm super stoked about, I am going to be joining potentially a kind of a class of sorts that I'm super excited, because I'm going to get to meet a lot of people who are kind of like-minded like me. So I always get excited about that stuff, because then you always meet new people, meet new faces, and it's kind of nice. I've been wanting to meet a person who's a bit more aligned with me and my beliefs and stuff like that, because, single life is fun and all that, but at a certain point you're like, I do want connection. I do miss physical touch and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of excited to kind of enter that container. So that's supposed to be next week, something like that. Yeah, next Friday. So I'm stoked about that. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Sorry for this video. So long. But we will see you. I'll see you guys in the next video. It won't be too long, I promise. Maybe a couple days instead of a couple months.